This is going to be a quick video of some eBay graphics that were custom made for a MX500 or MX650 with a quick tutorial on installation of the graphics kit. It's pretty straightforward. It's a sticker, so treat it for what it is. Um, First thing I wanted to do was take apart the plastics because I have plans for a seat. So I have here an old CRF 50 type seat that I'm probably going to take the foam off of and put it on the SX seat tray. I did get these graphics from eBay. I'll put a link in the description for the seller. At the time that I purchased it, he only had graphics for the SX500, and I asked if he could do a set for an MX 500/650. He said he could do it, so apparently he had the template. He was able to turn it around in pretty much a day. So the next day he sent me another message back saying, "Hey, I got it. I'm going to put a link up on eBay," and then he shot me the link, and then I went ahead and bought it. So you never know what you're going to get with eBay. Sometimes it could be pretty thin, cheap graphics. The vinyl might be not the best quality. This one was pretty good. The material is pretty thick. I don't know exactly what mill the vinyl is, but it is pretty thick, so it should stand up to the test of time. I don't know. We'll find out in a little bit. Um, this is just trying to line it up initially, kind of see exactly how it's going to fit. So I wanted to get an idea of if I was going to have to trim this stuff. If so, then I'd prefer to trim it off the bike instead of putting the vinyl on and then trying to trim it all up on the bike. So there's a lot of just trying to figure out what you got. I didn't know what all this stuff was, but it turned out to be pretty well cut for the most part. I mean, I can't complain. I couldn't have done a better job. I think it was a matter of the guy on eBay having the images already done for the SX and just needed to reset them for the MX templates. So at a glance, everything kind of seemed like it was going to work out once I was able to figure out exactly what that guy had. There was a lot of prep in just kind of cleaning all of the plastics with uh, diluted, well, alcohol with a little bit of heavily diluted with water. Um, just rubbing alcohol, you can get it from your medicine cabinet usually, or it's like 99 cents at CVS. Had no idea what that sticker was for. So I do a little bit of cleanup with the blend of alcohol and water. Just mix it together in a spray bottle, shoot it on, wipe it off, and then I go over everything with water and a microfiber towel. That way I can just kind of make sure that there's nothing going to be on the plastics, and then I try not to touch the plastics and get my greasy fingers all over everything before I install. Again, we're just going to go through, and I'm going to be doing the seat in another video. So I'm probably going to use that cover and the foam and just peel apart and use the tray from the SX so it's pretty seamless and probably won't have to modify anything. That should give it a little bit of padding because the Razor seats don't have much padding. First thing I like to do is, again, just line it up, see how everything's going to work, kind of pick where your lines are going to be. If you're going to line it up with the swoosh at the bottom, if you're going to line it up more to be in line with the straight edges at the top, you're going to have to pick your poison and then go slow. That's, I think, one of the key things. I've wrapped quite a few things before. And then I've applied graphics on a lot of different things. So I'm choosing to start and try to keep that line on the top consistent with the flow of the plastics. This is just trial and error, really, just trying to put it on, see where it's going to line up, and see how bad it makes the rest of the vinyl lay. Pulled it off, decided that wasn't probably the optimal solution, so thought I'd try to line it up with the swoosh at the bottom, and the forward edge of the plastics. For the most part, when you're doing vinyl, it's good to have a squeegee specific for vinyl with the felt tip and a heat gun handy. The heat will soften the material up so that it's pliable, and you can then continue to stretch it, work it, and manipulate it as it needs to be. Surprisingly enough, vinyl will stretch quite a bit. There is a lot of give in it. This is where I was trying to put it on. I saw an air gap, so I was going to try to get that air gap out. Once I realized that it's not coming out, I had to let the vinyl cool. Once it cools down and hardens up, it retains its original form. You can just peel it back, relay it down, and then move forward. Business as usual. When you're peeling it back, try and give it, if you peel it back like me, you want to go fast and quick. Otherwise, if you're pulling slow, you have potential to stretch the vinyl even when it's cold and not heated up. This time I'm going over it with the squeegee to lay it down. I didn't like the way that the end was kind of bleeding off of the plastic, so again, trial and error. Going to peel it back, apply a little bit of heat, see if we can't get it to lay down more towards a straighter line, slightly straighter than, and follow the lines a little bit better down. So starting from the front, squeegeeing down and applying pressure, pulling back towards it and trying to get it laid down so that it's actually on the face. I didn't go over all of the squeegeeing, didn't go over all of the post heating, but that is something you're going to want to do, especially around the edges. You're going to want to apply a lot of heat to activate the adhesive and get it to lay down properly. Now, I'm not a professional, I don't do this for a living, but I have done more wraps and sticker kits than I care to admit. One more time, kind of pick your poison. Where do you want it to line up? Do you want it to be more in line with the bottom edge and start there? That's what I chose to do over here. Same thing, very similar, but this one laid down pretty easily. Smooth it out. We'll do some squeegeeing. Make sure there's no air bubbles trapped in. If there is air, let it cool down if you heated it up. Peel it back quickly so that you're not stretching your vinyl, and then lay it back down. Trial and error. Second side will always go on better and smoother than the first side. Moving down to the back panels, same thing. These are very easy to apply because there's not a whole lot of curves on them. There is a slight bend on it, but it's very manageable. Once you find your edge, you're going to want to lead through the center, and then you can push down and make sure that you pull and apply tension on the vinyl on the edges when you're pulling, and then it should lay down pretty smoothly. CRF50 plastics, other dirt bike plastics, they have a lot of curves, especially on the exhaust side, that wraps around, and it can prove to be quite difficult to lay down without having a lot of creases and lines, and it just looks like trash. All right, moving on to the next side, business as usual. Second side usually is going to go a lot faster than the first side because you've already made your mistakes, you've learned what works, what didn't. So second side usually goes down pretty smooth without issue. A little bit more, squeegeeing it out with my thumb. Later I did go over everything with the squeegee and the heat gun. Make sure all of the adhesive is activated and you're pressing everything into place. I saved you from the post heating and squeegeeing because that's pretty boring. All right, double time for the tail. I think you kind of get the picture, business as usual. The tail, the end piece, crappy footage, but it laid down, it's very flat. Put it into place, run your fingers through the metal, and then out to the sides. More double time. Finally figured out what the heck these little pieces were for. They go on the side panels and route all the way out through the tail. More the same, you got to pick your poison. Where do you want it to line up? So I'm choosing to go around the swoosh area and that's where I'm going to start, and then I'll run my fingers through it and then press everything down while pulling if I want to manipulate the direction of the vinyl. Again, crappy footage. I literally had a GoPro knockoff bolted to a baseball cap, and that's how I got the footage. No chin mounts here. So once you lay your vinyl down, you're going to press it into place, and then again, you'll go over it with a heat gun and the squeegee and get everything lined up. This one I decided to match up with the back and then move forward because I knew where I wanted my graphics to lay. The front fender was, it looks like it could have been challenging, but it was actually pretty easy because the way that the vinyl was cut, it laid down on all the flat pieces of the fender. So it wasn't trying to bend around corners and tuck stuff in. It was extremely easy and well thought out as far as the template on how to cut it. A couple of side pieces. These are individual little stickers that kind of pull the whole thing together. In the end, I think the kit was well made, well designed. The vinyl was of good material. No complaints for, I think, $54 on eBay. And once again, I requested something that didn't exist, and the seller was kind enough to just create it for me so that I'd have what I wanted. I did figure out there's some additional ones here. These are just little swing arm stickers. I still don't know if I'm going to keep them on, but since they did come with the kit, I thought I'd put them on. Pretty straightforward. If you start going offline, peel it off, start again. I chose to line up with the, I guess where the swing arm pivot would go through, and then lay it down. And then here I'm going to try to press it in and bend it into place so that it's, you can see a tiny bit long, or tall I should say, bottom to top. But again, $54, what do you expect? A little bit more of the same. Other side, just trying to get your bearings where you want it to go. Again, going around the swing arm pivot, pushing it in with the thumb. Finger, again, saving you from the boring, I guess, post-heat. Here's his final product. As you can see, well, wiring mess, but the graphics did go on easy. This was post-heated. If you enjoyed the video, come back for more.